Okay, we're live. Amy, you're so put together. Show everybody what you did.
You guys, look at this. So I have my red glasses on today, and the cup that I grabbed for my coffee to start this live stream is also red. So it's almost like I coordinated here. But you guys, I did not plan that. I swear to God, I didn't plan it. I'm not that put together. Really not.
You're not.
I'm not.
Huh. So I stopped I did not ask Amy how she was doing when we first logged on and talked because I want the real answer on live television.
You
Amy, how's it going?
How's
It's
it
been
going?
a month.
I mean, it's going. The really great thing is there's no snow here anymore in Minnesota. I can see the grass. We've actually had to mow, which is wild. We've had to mow already. This is crazy. I have been able to get my hands dirty. I actually did have to wash my hands before I got on here. Not that you all would have cared, but I had the whole summer manicure going on with the dirt under the fingernails looking all good. And yeah, it has been fabulous, very busy, enjoying the sunshine, and it's been great. So how have you been?
I've been having lots of personal revelations.
Ooh, let's talk about that because I could have went there too, but I didn't. I just did that whole small talk weather thing, which we really should be past.
Yeah,
Right?
you're from the Midwest, right? Yeah, there you go. That's what you got. That's what Midwesterners do.
Right. It is.
Yeah, this has been the last, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks have been the time of revelations. And you know how like you'll go through this pattern and realize, okay, something's not right. What's
Yeah.
not right? And then you're like, man, I am dropping the ball here or not doing that good enough, or I'm a terrible person. You go through all of that self-loathing
Yeah.
piece and you're like, oh, I need to change this. And then you're like, crap, that looks like a lot of work. I don't want to change that. That's too much work. And then you're like, okay, I'll change it. That's
I
kind of like
guess.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a lot of it is on for me on the professional side because Self-Reliance Festival has grown faster than anybody ever expected it to. My coffee business is growing and my coffee apprentice left. And then my podcast, if I would just focus on my marketing properly, would explode right now. I have speaking engagement requests coming in that I'm saying no to because you know why. And because you do the same thing, it's like you can do so many things. And then if you want to actually be there when your eggs hatch, which I'm not going to be here when my eggs hatch.
Oh no.
For planning on the egg starting date. You have to be home sometimes on the homestead, or else you like the whole purpose of living a homestead lifestyle is
Right.
not there. And so I've just been like melting down and judging myself and talking about things on the podcast and blah, blah, blah. And finally, it was just about a week before the workshop. I was like, screw it. I got to change it. I'm going to change it. And, you know, I wasn't quite sure what I would do, but I was like, I either have to stop doing something or so I can do other things better, or I have to figure out a whole new thing. So that's where I'm at. So now I'm like, I have a meeting on Saturday with a close friend who runs 3 businesses and has a daughter. And because I melted down, she's like, how are you the week before the workshop? And I'm like, I need to talk so bad. I have no time.
Yeah.
I have no time. And she was like, well, let's talk after. And then I scheduled the meeting for Tuesday this week at 10, forgetting that first Tuesday was now second Tuesday this week, and I was going to be on a live stream.
Oh, geez.
And it wasn't right in my calendar, so I didn't see it. I was like, well, that's the problem I'm trying to solve. And I was like, please talk to me Saturday. So yeah, I'm doing all sorts of stuff. How about you? What existential crisis is Amy Dingmann?
Oh my gosh, that's that's exactly it. You know, so I feel like I mean, this always happens, but I feel like I'm in this place where the pendulum swings one way. You decide you need to make a change, right? So you're like, the pendulum swings way over here and you make this change. And then you're like, wait a second. No, that's not what I want to do. And it swings back because that's where you were comfortable. And you're like, okay, I got to go back to this. And then you realize, which is where I am right now, I didn't want to go all the way back over here. I had went and got a job outside the house and worked there, and it was great. And then decided, oh no, I can't work there all the time because I need to be home on the homestead. And then basically told them I'm going to work 1 day a week, and that's what it's going to be. And they were like, okay, if that's what you want to do. And I have since realized over the last probably month, there's a lot of stuff to do on the homestead and I want to do that. But I also am at a place in my life where I actually need to not be at the homestead all the time. Because you know what? My kids aren't here. And if my husband is working or sleeping, it's
You're
just
just
me.
there by
And
yourself.
and there's stuff I can fill my time with, but there's
Yeah.
also like, okay, I got to have something else. And so that's kind of where I am right now. I also went through I'm still in the middle of this, but I have figured out, and I talk about this a lot in my Telegram group, which is the place that I hang out. We have such great, deep conversations there. I have figured out that the things that really piss you off about other people, if you are willing to be honest with yourself and look at yourself, you realize, ooh, those are exactly the same things that I do, just in very, very different ways, right? Have you ever realized this? Have you ever
Yes.
had this moment where you're
Yes.
like, oh shit, I do that same thing? Like,
Yes.
and I've been in that real hard for the last month. So it's been gross and emotional and nasty, but also coming out of it a little bit, going like, okay, I see what we're doing here. We are growing, and growing sucks, and it's painful and it's messy, but let's do this, you know?
Let's
So
do
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized this is one that I've talked about already publicly, but I realized that responding in anger to basically trollish people or people who are kind of being jerks to me
Mhm.
and not just ignoring them and cutting them out of my life is not good for me. So like turn them into a coupon code. I might do that again just because it's funny. But that action actually keeps the negativity in my life longer. And I realized it because I was starting to do it, and somebody reached out on the side and was like, "Don't let that person steal your time. Go do something good today. And you know you're busy. And if you waste an hour with this person, that's an hour you didn't get the actual good stuff done in your life."
Right.
But you know, like we've had some fun ridiculing people, you and I. And I was like, oh, but we're so good at that. And we're snarky and people think it's funny. But at the
This
same
is true.
time, this, you know, where's the balance?
Yeah.
Because if I do spend all my time worrying about, you know, what people say about me behind my back, or, you know, that they called me a poopy head or whatever it
Mhm.
is, or a fake homesteader or whatever. I'm like, I'd like to see you with your hands in the rabbit poop, spreading it on my rose and call me a
Right.
fake homesteader. But okay.
Exactly.
Um, but if you go to that space, that's where you live. And the person who said it to me first probably knows who they are. And then a couple other people within a week said it. And I was like, okay, so
Oh,
like
jeez.
all of the people who are more successful than me in my life are saying this to me right now. So
Oh my gosh.
perhaps I should shut up and listen. So I shut up and listened. And then you know how it is. You're like, okay, I'm not going to let these things emotionally impact me.
Right.
So then somebody says, Nicole, you're a poopy head. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm rubber and you're glue. And, you know, and all the time inside, I'm like, you mother.
Right. Right.
That's what's really going on inside. I'm like, I'm at the fake it till you make it phase. Fine. I'll fake it till I make it. And what I've learned happens when you do that is you reprogram your brain, and eventually you honestly don't care.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at first you care. You just don't show that you care. I don't know how other people do it. That's how I do it.
It's funny because I've been in discussions with a few people about this whole fake it till you make it, you know,
Yeah.
and we're all doing that. If we're willing to be honest, it's none of us know what the hell we're doing. It's all just try to figure it out and keep going. And I think if we were all more honest about that,
Yeah.
it would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Ken says, do you find that if anger is your initial reaction, it's often because you partially believe the thing they said?
That's probably true. I would say you probably get angry because you worry about it. Like you worry, oh my God, that's what people actually think about me. Or, oh, you know, like, oh, you figured out this. Like, I don't know. Because if it wasn't something you were worried about, why would it bother you? I guess.
Yeah, I know. That's one take. I think sometimes I react in anger because I'm afraid. I may not believe it's true about me. I'm afraid other people will think it's true, and then my
Sure.
whole following will walk away from me and I will be a failure. So
Right.
what's usually underlying it for me, the whole thing is a fear of failure.
Mm. That makes
And
sense.
there was a
Yeah.
time when my fear of success was a fear of failure. Like, I can fear failure like nobody I've met. And living in that fear is not helpful to my success.
Right. Right. It makes it
So,
so you can't do much. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so but I find I have a lot less fear. Like, I'm purposely making myself do stuff I've been tentative, fearful of starting.
Mm.
Like, I don't have time to do the things I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing more things that have to do with stuff I've always said I wanted to do. My
Mhm.
brain wants me to do it, and every time I'm like, "I'm gonna go do this thing," my heart's like, I was like, "Well, that probably means I need to face whatever it is there and learn."
Right.
Like, usually for me, because I work differently than other people, I don't know why. I just know that my body reacted the way it did
Mm.
first.
Yeah.
And I will find out during the thing I didn't wanna do,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
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 So, that may be, like, counter to living the life you choose, but again, it's because intellectually I should be taking on these new skills. And there's no reason I shouldn't. And I actually want to. And it's like there's it's like I have a barrier there that I can't define, that maybe I'll define afterwards. So,
Yeah. Isn't it
yeah.
interesting how I was just thinking of this the other day. I think I posted something on Facebook yesterday how like I just turned 44 last month and I thought at this point I would have stuff figured out. Like I thought I would know what I was doing and have the answers. And I just feel like the older I get, the more you're constantly learning stuff like that. You're constantly digging into yourself and being like, I got to figure this out, or here's this new
Yeah.
thing, or, oh, that's a reaction to fear or anger, or it's crazy. I didn't know that stuff when I was 20 and I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. How come our parents never told us they didn't know what was going on?
I don't know.
I don't think my parents or my grandparents ever knew what they were doing.
Right.
And it kinda came clear to me when my grandpa was dying and I was with my grandma, we were all together, and she started telling stories of challenges in their marriage.
Mm.
And I was, divorced, having not made it through challenges in my marriage, having not done what I should have done when I accepted the proposal. I should not have accepted the proposal. And I was like, wow, I wish you would have told me this when I was like 14, trying to figure out what relationships were all about, because
Right.
nobody, like, they were a great model relationship, but they only showed the good stuff and never
Right.
talked about this is how we work through the bad stuff. And then I realized it's like they didn't know what they were doing either.
Right.
She's telling me stories about, back when they were first married, he was working and she was responsible for laundry, and laundry at that time was not a washer and dryer. Like, you washed it and you hung it out to dry and you ironed it. And the key was, if the shirt was not quite dry and you ironed it, you didn't have to figure out how to get it wet to iron it, and it ironed better. And so she
Nice.
would like
Mhm.
stick it in the fridge because she didn't feel like finishing. And then she'd forget about it and it would mold. Now, by the way, my grandparents were the most tidy people I've ever met in my entire life. Totally
Yeah.
with it, always getting their stuff done right. I'm like, you couldn't manage your schedule either.
The secret is out. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Margot says, while I don't give a F about what anyone else says or thinks about me, it stings a bit when people jump to conclusions based on one sentence they hear from a conversation. I can see
Yeah.
that.
I think that's human nature. I think a lot of people do that. And I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's just, yeah. It is frustrating though.
Yeah. So I think we need to have a good, deep discussion
Okay.
on the definition of homesteading.
Ooh. Yes.
Yes.
What is
What is
homesteading? What
homesteading?
is homesteading?
Yeah.
So here's the really funny thing. Back when I was speaking about homeschooling when my kids were younger and I'd go do homeschooling conferences, I had someone who said, "Will you speak to us about homesteading?" And I thought, homesteading? Why do you want me to talk about homesteading? And I think, do they want this historical thing about homesteading? You know, like, why do you want me to talk about homesteading? And then I realized you want me to talk about homesteading because you think I'm a homesteader. And this was years ago, you know, like I didn't call myself a homesteader. I was like, homesteaders are the people that had the, you know, the now I'm distracted by Ken's comment. Yes, the lifesteading.
Life
Lifesteading. We have claimed this new word. Well, it's not a new word, but we just claimed this word. But I think homesteading, when I talk to people in the community, there's a lot of people who are frustrated or tired or just kind of done with the whole homesteading is a thing. And I don't know how something becomes a thing. I don't even know how to define what does it mean when homesteading is a thing. What does that mean? But man, it just feels like, I mean, you've had your website and been doing your thing for 15 years, I think you've said. Is that what
I've been homesteading for 15 years or 16 years now. I've had various blogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Starting in 2008, and the current iteration is 6 or 7 years at this point.
Okay. Yeah, because I've had a farmer's kind of life for 14 years. And so it feels, as more people get interested in homesteading, it almost feels like those of us who've been in it for a while, like we're shifting to something else, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you have thoughts about that? Because I have a hard time like trying to figure this out. I don't know.
I have been thinking about this a lot because I do a presentation called Smart Homesteading. I'm doing a webinar on it on June 1st as well. And it's sort of a play on words for smart cities, right? But it's not that really. It's about applying permaculture practices to your homestead design and building it into your lifestyle design. So it's lifesteading, basically.
Right.
But where I see homesteading versus, you know, like the difference between homesteading, getting a piece of land and moving to Idaho 100 years ago and working and living off that land. I view it as a mindset. So I don't care if you have no livestock and grow nothing. Are you working towards making your home work for you? Or are you working to pay for your home?
Right.
That's where I see the difference. And it doesn't mean that your home pays 100% for itself necessarily.
Right.
It doesn't mean that your home can't not only pay 100% of itself, but make you 6 or 7 figures a year. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But when you are able to start viewing your home environment as a source of prosperity, and it's, then I think you're homesteading, whatever that means, even if you're nomad steading. And I think that that's going to be defined a little bit differently by everybody. What that you do.
Yeah.
Like, are you growing herbs on your dashboard of your RV?
Right.
That means you don't have to buy those little packets of herbs for $6 at
Right.
Albertsons or whatever, right?
Right.
So that's what I've been playing with a lot, and a lot of people think that's an oversimplification.
And I can see people saying that, but it makes me wonder, like, why does it have to be so complicated? Like, is that a people thing? Is that an internet thing? Is that a social media thing? Did people do this 75 years ago? You know, like it just feels like everything needs to be so boxy and defined, and you have to fit in a thing to, you know.
Yeah, but I think we just do that as humans naturally.
Yeah,
I think we do, and I think that when you find a simplification or a simple way of thinking about something, people are like, wow, that's really helpful. And other people don't like it.
Right.
Because this now undermines everything I've ever learned about homesteading, which means you have to have chickens and you have to have ducks and you have to have land or whatever it is. And it threatens their perception of reality rather than expands it. Like you can choose to be threatened by a simplification of something, but like freedom's really simple.
Yeah.
Freedom is very simple. It's hard to do, but it's very simple. And people will argue, they would rather spend their whole lives arguing about what the specific definition of freedom is rather than try to implement it in their lives.
Yeah. It's because it's easier to talk about stuff than
Yeah.
than do it, right? And
Yeah.
I wonder if people are threatened by when you simplify it, if it's I've done all this stuff and that means I'm really cool and you have to follow all these steps and it's like a ladder that you climb, and if you're just going to take all those rungs away, then like it attacks you, I suppose. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
I don't know.
So Hat says, I wonder what happened to the old term subsistence farming. I think that is that's how some people view what homesteading is, subsistence farming.
Sure.
I don't know what happened to the term, but there is an element in the, I'd say, homesteader prepper network that rather than giving people tools to reduce the number of inputs needed, including money, to get what they want out of their homestead, it's a matter of pride, and people who don't do it that way and who don't, repurpose every tire and live in poverty are not homesteaders.
Right.
And there's a difference.
Yeah.
Like, I love learning how somebody turned garbage into a rain barrel system, or how somebody tapped into restaurant waste to feed their animals for free. I'm not doing it, but I'm glad they are. The reason I'm not doing it is I don't want to drive all over picking up food once a week or twice a week. Because that's a lot of time for me and gas.
Right. Yeah.
I'd rather figure out how to grow feed here. So, I
think it's go ahead.
No, you. I've been talking a lot.
I think it's interesting how, people feel like there's certain things that you have to do to be a homesteader, like the check mark. And it, like, sometimes on social media, when I'm trying to figure out what is I'm going to write about, what should I make a video about, what, all of that, I'll say, what do you guys want to hear about? And I will invariably have people say, I need to know how to learn to keep bees. So you should write an article on how to keep bees. And I will say, I don't have bees. And there's almost this,
how could you be a homesteader without bees?
Expectation, like, well, you should get bees, so you can teach me how to keep bees, or just, I'm trying to think of all the things people have said, you should grow this so you can write an article about it. And I think that's like a weird content creator thing where it becomes, I'm going to add things to my homestead and do things on my homestead so I can, perpetuate this wonderful, persona that I have and this website and all of that. And that's a whole nother level of yuck.
I wonder how many content creators fall into that trap of actually doing that. Like, to me, I would never consider adding bees to be able to podcast about the fact that I have bees. Now, I used to have bees and I used to podcast about it, and I got rid of them because I'm allergic to them. Even though I wanted the pollination on the property, I was like, nope, really expensive when I get stung. So, let's move the hives away from here so I'm not at risk of getting too close to a hive and pissing them off, because a random honeybee in the wild is very unlikely to sting me unless I sit on her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you see other content creators falling into that?
I see people who are like, I think it's they almost get to the stage where I'm kind of at, where we've been here on the farm for many, many years and we know what works for us. We know what we want here. We know what we've tried that we've determined, no, we don't want to do that. Like, goats are not for us. Horses are not for us. No! I love your shirt. But you get to this point where you're like, okay, so I have this YouTube channel, I have this, like, following. And so here's the things I write about. And I almost feel like I need to make it exciting again. So now I'm going to get an emu because I need something new to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And I can only say so much about raising pigs. I can only say so much about raising chickens, and it's all out there, and I've said it. And I think if you've been doing it for a while and you get to that point, you're like, okay, what do I do now? And so I do see people who are like, let's add something new. Let's take on this huge project so we have content, basically, which is a really scary place to get to, you know?
Yes. The
Yeah.
funny thing is when I take on a huge project, I'm like, I'm going to do content about this. And then, oh, interesting. I just noticed that the screen is out of my window because of a cat.
Uh-oh.
That's why there's bugs in my room. Okay,
That's
anyway.
where they're coming from.
I was like, why were there so many flies last night? Stupid cat. It's when I take on a huge project and I'm like, I'm going to record this. And then I don't.
Right.
Because I'm like, it's way too hard to record this and actually get the stupid thing done. I mean, I literally just set up a camera with a like paper hood over it so it wouldn't get overheated. Just my phone.
Yeah.
One Saturday while my neighbor was building a holler roost so people could see how it went together because I didn't want to be there filming it the whole time. So I could be in the house working on something else.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like a ridiculous 8-hour live stream on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
But people came in, they dropped in to check it out. They go back out. They loved it. They talked to each other. I was like, I'm not even on the chat. In fact, if you call me, I won't answer because my phone is out there and I'm in here.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Ken says, who has time to create content when you're actually getting stuff done? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So Aaron says, sometimes in the homestead community, it feels like if you're not showing it all, then you're failing. When really it means I'm focusing on something else and don't actually need to be homesteading 24/7. Do people demand that you show things that you don't want to show, Amy?
Sometimes, and sometimes it's almost like the opposite. I posted yesterday, I was leaving for work and I posted a picture on Facebook about, I think that was yesterday. I had my breakfast shake in my hand and I was heading off to work and I had people who commented, you have a job? They're like, wait a second, we want to hear about the farm. You know, and then there'll be
I'm not at the farm.
I'm not at the farm. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just such a weird thing with social media. There's some people who will tell you you're sharing too much and you're showing off, you know, and then there are other people who will say you're not sharing enough. Like you make your channel for them, you know, like I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, you kind of do make your channel for them, but not in the way that is that entitled way.
Right. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, I like to be purposeful about showing failure. Because I see so many homesteaders who never fail, and I know darn well they fail. And I know, like, I remember the moment my friend was helping a local dairy farm with their goats. Mm-hmm. They were out of town, and she came in, and the dog had eaten the face off a goat.
Oh, geez.
And the goat was still alive.
Oh, wow.
And she texted them and said, what do I do? And they were like, basically put comfrey on it and hope. And she took a picture and said, this is why homesteading isn't pretty. She didn't say where she was.
Right.
They basically fired her and got pissed off because she put that picture up. And her thing, and she doesn't even like have a following beyond her friends, but she's like, if you're thinking of getting into homesteading, there's a day you may come and your LGD ate the face off your goat.
Right.
Which is gross.
Yeah.
And I think we've all dealt with, oh, that animal's really hurt and it's gory. Now what do I do?
Yeah. And
I mean, we talk about it, but a lot of people just pretend that stuff never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now people go into homesteading and the first time their chicken gets half eaten by a raccoon and they come out.
Right. Yeah. Nobody told me about
their
this.
Failure.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're just a normal homesteader.
Yeah. How many chickens have you failed to protect in your lifetime, Amy?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And now our chickens are no longer free range. And you will get all the people that are like, why don't you free range your chickens?
Let me take why I don't free range my chickens, a photo journal.
A photo journal.
That's what you need to do.
Or then people will be like, really? Eagles will come down and take, you know, chickens or cats or
dogs, small dogs.
They will. Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah. It looks like food to them.
It really does. It really does.
Everything... I like how... Oh, go ahead.
I like how Ken had said, who has time to create content when you're actually getting shit done? I had somebody message me and they wanted to know, and Ken and I discussed this in my Telegram group. She wanted to have a very active social media group. And so she was asking me for advice on how to make a super active social media group, like Telegram or Facebook or whatever, because she had been in other groups that were just so active and everybody was always talking, and it was homesteading stuff. And I sat and I thought about that, and really what it comes down to is if you want a super active all the time group, you have to have people who are online all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing in the homesteading community. It's like, wait a second. We got to go out and do stuff, like we're not online all the time. So when you're in those groups where it's constant conversation all the time, it's like, but what are you doing? So that, yeah.
Like, do you have blood on your hands and you're answering me right now? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
That's, we have a rule here because Tactical and I use Zello to communicate.
Okay.
Because he could be here or he could be a 1/10 of a mile away with the sheep or whatever. And I cook dinner every night and I'll be like, hey, dinner's going to be ready in 15 minutes or dinner's ready. And the rule is I wait 5 minutes. And if I don't get acknowledgement, then I say it again. Because if I'm like, why didn't you answer me instantly? Well, it's because I was holding down the ram and, like whatever. I was shoveling poop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I didn't want to touch my phone with hands like that. And,
exactly.
And that's sort of what we've gotten to, because sometimes the message just doesn't go through. But, and, people, I've had text messages where they're like, hey, Nicole, can I drop by at 10 o'clock or whatever? Anybody who's a homesteader, if I don't answer that for an hour, doesn't think I'm ignoring them.
Right.
It's because I literally haven't looked at this. I actually lost my phone for 2 hours this morning while I was roasting coffee. I wandered off with it, put it down, forgot it was there, and spent another half hour looking for it after I was done roasting coffee. And then I found it and I was like, oh yeah, I remember I put it there.
Oh, hey, yeah.
But that means anybody who tried to call me in that time, there's no way I answered because, yeah.
Right. And that's like when I was asking you for the link to get into this
Yeah.
chat. Like I was assuming you're busy. Like you're not ignoring me. You'll
Nope.
get it to me. It's fine. But yeah, some people it's like, what the heck? We're doing things.
Apparently what you need to do this week is claim your podcast on Fountain.
I have been told that. Yes.
Yeah, let me know if you want help with that, because I've done it. I know how to do it. It's super easy. And then you start earning Satoshis for nothing.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Yeah.
I'm making a note right now.
Yeah, I love Fountain because, and I haven't been good about this. It's one of the things I'm resetting. I can take little snippets, clips from my own podcast that are that especially powerful moment. You know how you have those?
I do.
Yeah, you do. You put them on TikTok. You can clip those and put them on Fountain, and people will listen to those and then go listen to your whole podcast. So it's actually, it drives traffic to your podcast. And when I was experimenting with doing that on a schedule, and I was in the top 20 podcasts on Fountain within about 2 weeks. Yeah, that may not be that easy now, but yeah, it was kind of cool. And then they like reached out to me and they're like, hey, keep it going. And then I was like, head exploded, got too busy.
Had a crisis.
Don't have an employee working here helping me with this. So yeah. It's kind of funny how that works.
It is. I have not used Fountain, so I will have to check it out.
It's basically a podcasting app that doesn't work as well as any other podcasting app you have. But they have integrated payment so people can tip. So it's fostering a podcasting 2.0 / tipping environment, which is neat. And so early adopters are there right now. The app itself gets better as it gets older because they are working on it. Like it's being actively developed, but just know that if there's a specific functionality you like in Podcast Addict or whatever you use, it might not be there.
Okay.
And I feel like the design is better for content creators right now than for podcast listeners.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will check it out.
Yep. It's cool. I like it. I don't utilize Fountain enough because of life. Yeah. Right, Aaron.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not on TikTok. I've managed to post 2 things on TikTok, and they were not videos this week. And that's the first time
Wow.
I've posted anything since shortly before Self-Reliance Festival.
You've been a little busy.
Well, yeah, of my own making. Well, and I have to
Well.
decide, like, here's this. Like, are you on all social media, Amy?
Me? I used
Yeah.
to be. I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
That
What
was
do you
part of my
use?
crisis. I was like, I can't be everywhere, and that's just what it is.
Mhm.
Mostly right now, I am on Facebook and Telegram
Yeah.
and Discord
Okay.
sometimes.
Oh, man, I never get to Discord. Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you? Where do you mostly hang out?
I'm still on MeWe. I have a big group of people there who are active,
Mhm.
so I feel like I should empower that. Telegram, I am on Noster,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why in a second.
I'll tell you why I'm not.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I am right now. But yeah, so really, and then I do interact on Facebook more right now because I don't know why, just because.
Just 'cause.
But really, I would say my fastest answers right now are on Telegram, Noster, and MeWe.
Okay.
And then I grudgingly work with Facebook and Twitter. I will
Mhm.
answer comments on YouTube pretty quickly, usually. The reason I'm investing in Noster is Noster solves a problem that I have had with social media my whole life if it's successful.
And what is that?
The problem being, I just listed 5 places I am. That are 5 individual places.
Yeah.
What Noster seeks to do is be a protocol where if I post it to Noster, there's a bunch of different ways people can look at that information. And if they prefer to look at it Facebook style, they use this application. And if they prefer to look at it YouTube style, they can use that application. If they prefer to look at it like it's a blog post, they can use that application.
Oh, interesting.
And it all goes to all of it if they follow me. So
Wow.
if they follow me at any one of those 3 types of layout sorts of systems, then I've only had to post once. So it is partially selfishly motivated. I also I have always been a play with the technology kind of person.
Yeah.
And I love that they have integrated payments through Lightning. So I've sold some coffee there just for the fun of it. It was a big pain in the butt, by the way, compared to just people buying it on my website. But I was like, I gotta try it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I try it? So that's why I'm there. And so I've been posting there a couple times a day. I post there first and then I paste it on all my other social networks that are not. If I could figure out API sort of feed from Noster to everything else and just not mess with it, I would be so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many places you can be, and I feel like every audience on every platform is so different. I can post something on Facebook and I will get a totally different response to that if I post it on MeWe. They're totally different platforms that attract totally different folks, and it's hard to know where to be and where to not be, and nobody has time for any of it.
Yeah, we all know I'm getting kicked off the major ones someday, right? We're all aware of this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
It's fine.
Yeah. So I always feel like I got to have that backup plan.
You got to have the backup. This is true. Indeed.
Yeah. So why aren't you on Noster? Tell me that. Did you try it and hate it?
I tried it.
Yeah.
And I was doing one of those half-ass, hey, I'll try this quick, which you shouldn't do if you're going to try Noster, because it's a little bit more complicated than that. I tried it, and within like 3 minutes of being on there, I don't know how many people messaged me that they wanted to set up a wallet for me, like all the spam, it was insane.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, is this what's supposed to be happening?
No.
And then I pressed the wrong button and I got booted out and I couldn't get back in because I didn't have the key, because I had looked for the key, and it was weird how I got in. It was almost like a glitch. And then I went to like figure out what the key was, because I knew, oh my God, if you don't have
lost
key,
your private key.
I lost my private key. So I was on Noster for approximately 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And I have not attempted again.
Yeah. And you're going to have to be a different username now.
Right. Yeah. It's me again.
Ignore that other one we don't have access to.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll just be saying, ignore that other one. We
But
don't have access to.
that's not me. I mean, it is me, but yeah.
Well, I had the good fortune to have a support team behind me when I went to get on Noster, which is really
Nice.
easy once you follow all the steps they tell you to follow one at a time.
Perfect.
That's what you do, and it takes about half an hour.
Oh, which was way longer than it took me to get in. So
Yeah, no, I got in before that, but to have it all set up
Oh.
and connected, and like I had to have same thing. I had to make sure I had my private key
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And don't ever want to. But we have people in our network, you and
Yep.
me,
Yep.
who have been doing nothing other than being excited about Noster, figuring out the ins and outs.
Yep.
And they've made videos like, if you've never done Noster, here's step by step how to figure it out and how to, like which app to use. I call them apps. They're really supposed to be clients, but I'm like pushing for the word app instead of clients because app makes more sense to the general user.
It really does.
It does. And I understand the difference, but we're just going to call them apps anyway.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. And they're like, and this is how you protect your privacy and your security. So it includes all of the things you should think about. And, and then those same guys who made those videos, I'm on Telegram with. So I'm like, okay, this was your instruction, but what it's not working. And like, I found like glitches and anyway, so.
It's definitely a process.
Yes.
It was not like trying to get on Facebook, it was a whole thing. So, and when I was struggling through it, I had some people say, "You need to talk to so and so." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm already booted out and
I need to schedule time if I'm going to do that."
This apparently is a sit down, have your coffee, be ready kind of thing.
Yes, it is. Well, and it's just be like, okay, I'm going to do the thing.
Yeah.
It's for me, like we have a bunch of people kind of who live near me.
Okay.
By near me, I mean within an hour. And so, the person who's an hour that way and the person who's an hour that way, it's 2 hours from each other.
Right.
And I thought, well, we all kind of live in the same region. Let's start having like a monthly barbecue and we roll it from one place to the next. And sometimes somebody has to drive really far and sometimes it's at their house.
Yeah.
And okay, so then like the negotiations of finding a date when everybody can do that is a thing. But we're not really going to go there. The real deal is that it's like you just have to choose it and go.
Yeah.
But to sit down and dedicate the time for that, I was like, we can do this, but we got to decide to do it.
Yeah.
And if there's no time in my life to do it, then it's not going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
So
it is funny trying to get people together though. If you ask too many many questions about when would this work and where should we go and blah, 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 like it's never going to happen. Somebody just needs to pick.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. This is when it's happening. This is where it'll be. Can you come?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Too many options messes everything up.
Well, you end up with too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have opinions about, what things should be.
Yes. Everyone has an opinion.
Oh, yes. I am telling Amy to start a monthly farmish meetup across the network. Absolutely. Amy, you know what you need to do is one more thing.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I think it sounds awesome.
What one of your passionate listeners needs to do is start a farmish meetup, not at your farm.
Right. That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
Actually.
Yeah, that's totally what we're saying.
I will show up if the day works, but that's all.
It's funny. There's a Freedom Cell here that does their meetings like on a random Sunday. It may be the same Sunday every month. I don't know. And they'll be like, okay, so this Sunday we're meeting. And I'm like, I have not made that meeting for a year.
Yeah.
It's an hour for me. And I'll be like, and then he'll say like RSVP if you're coming. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't come. I'm doing an event that day. And he'll be like, I didn't expect to see you, Nicole. And I'm like, don't be mean.
Stuff going on.
It's
all
just
the things busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I need to schedule like in order to get a barbecue meeting, I need to schedule the one weekend in June that I'm home.
Right. The one weekend in June.
Yeah. June is 2 months from now. So that's how I work. And so if you just want me to randomly stop by your thing you invited to me same day, that's probably never going to happen. Do you ever do same day stuff?
No, but You said June is 2 months from now? It's not 2 months from now, it's next month.
6 weeks. Okay, well,
It's
yeah.
next month.
I guess it is next month. Yep.
It's closer than you think.
Yes, it is closer than I think. It feels
Mhm.
like 2 months.
This
I
is
wish
true.
it was May 1st.
Yeah.
Then I can start getting my plants out.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mhm.
Has there ever been a spring where you got all your stuff out on time?
Well, what's on time?
Your perception of on time.
Maybe 1 or 2 years. I'm
Yeah.
almost always late. I think that, and I shouldn't even say anything. I shouldn't even put this out there, but I feel like this year it's gonna be early because it's so nice right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got our potatoes in, we got our onions in, I got the asparagus planted, we've got all that, we got fruit trees planted, we got all this stuff going on, and I just I think we'll be planting before Father's Day this year. So that's really exciting.
Is
It's
that your
really exciting.
goal before Father's Day?
The latest we have ever planted that the garden has been okay is Father's Day.
Mhm.
So, but I'm thinking in the next 2 weeks, we'll probably put the garden in, so the seedlings will be ready, and we'll put them out there. Hopefully, there will be no tricky, last-minute, weird snowstorms or drops to 20 degrees or something like that, but
Are we gonna get a TikTok video of you screaming really loud if that happens?
you will. I promise. If that happens, I will commit to making a TikTok. I go in streaks, you
Yeah.
know? I have, like, tons of content, and then I'm like, "No. No more content. I'm just chilling out in the yard, just enjoying
Yeah.
everything." That's
That's
okay.
why I haven't done garden 30s. I'm like, I'm in the garden, but
Yeah.
y'all don't see it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, because I'm not gonna touch my phone
I
after
was gonna
touching the
say,
rabbit food.
how do you touch your phone after, with your summer manicure and all of that?
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
determined it's a two-person thing. If
Yeah.
there's somebody running the feed, they can tell me the questions and I can answer the questions.
Mm.
But if there
Sure.
isn't that, I don't think
Right.
it works because then it's just me talking in the garden and not seeing what you're saying.
Right. Which is pointless if you're trying to interact with people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Apparently, Letty's putting together a meetup at an ice
Oh,
cream store now.
at the ice cream store. There is an ice cream place there, Letty. It's a fabulous ice cream place. It's not Dairy Queen, so I probably would be able to eat it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
Love it.
have Dairy Queen?
Uh, the last time I had oh my gosh, the last time I had Dairy Queen, we always get ice cream cakes for birthdays. That's the thing we do here is for our birthdays, we get an ice cream cake, and that's the big thing. And the last time we had a birthday cake, which would have been the first birthday of the year, oh my god, I ate it and I was sick, 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 like, to the point I thought I had food poisoning, and the only reason I knew I didn't have food poisoning is nobody else got sick from eating it.
Yeah.
But my body just absolutely revolted, and I have absolutely no desire to have Dairy Queen
Ever
ever,
again?
ever. Like, I was so sick, but, the weather's been so nice here, so we actually went out on our first motorcycle ride for the year, and we always go out for ice cream
Yeah.
when most people go to the bar, we go out for ice cream.
Right. It's better
So
not to drink and drive.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
so, we ended up at this old ice cream shop that had, like, the hard scoop regular, ice cream, and I could eat that, so that was good.
That is good. I wonder if they
I
started
don't
putting
know.
soy or something in
I
there.
don't know, but it was not awesome. I've
Yeah.
been ruined for Dairy Queen for a very, very, very long time.
I'm afraid to eat hamburger patties anywhere but at my house,
Oh, really?
because that happened to me at a hotel in Georgia
Gosh.
at a I ordered burger patties only, like,
Yeah.
nothing else, ate the burger patties, and I was sick for weeks.
Oh my gosh.
I was sick for weeks, and, like, I just left the conference early and had the a
Oh.
very, very long puddle jumper
Oh,
style,
I bet.
drive home. We
Yeah,
won't
yeah.
explain exactly why, but you know why.
We can imagine.
You know why.
I
So,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, "I guess those burgers had soy in them too,"
Oh, man.
like, enough to get me that, like, a little bit of soy doesn't usually get me. It's not
Right.
like you wave soy in my direction, I'm in trouble.
Right.
Like, that had to have, like, a 25% soy protein or more factor
Wow.
in the burger, or they
Yeah.
were lying and it wasn't really beef.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
But
so
at your house when you make it
it's
what's in
beef.
it. So
100% beef,
Indeed.
unless I add pork too, and then it's not. Then
It
it's
gets
beefy,
harder and
beefy
harder
pork.
to eat out the older I get.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
want to be
true.
that person, you know?
You are.
But I am.
Were
I'm
your
that person.
grandparents that person?
No.
No,
Were
they
yours?
were fine. Okay. No,
Huh.
they didn't eat out much though.
Yeah.
Like they just, as a matter of planning their household budget, didn't
Yeah.
spend the money on restaurants.
Right.
So Ken wants to know where your purple hair went.
It's a lot of work to take care of. When you do color like that, not to say that I won't do it again, but when you do color like that, you have to wash your hair in cold water for it to last. And
Yeah.
so that means showers or washing the hair is a 2-step process. And I hate showers anyway because it feels like just a glitch in my day to be like, okay, now I have to take a shower. I just want to keep doing the things, right?
Yeah.
So to take a shower and then have to wash my hair
Yeah.
in cold water, just I didn't want to do that anymore right now. So
you went back to
just blonde. We just get blonde.
Because I'm a blonde. Yeah. You remember that song?
No.
Okay, I'm older than you.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I'm gonna send you a link because it's a ridiculous Valley Girl song from the 80s that you probably had to be in the. It was not a good song. It was not well written.
It was not well written.
No, but it was hilarious.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be well written.
Yeah. Okay. Claiming Liberty says apparently a lot of places cook burgers in soybean oil, even if they're grilled. Yeah. So I go to an event where they cater in fajitas.
Okay.
Now, if there's anything that's safe to eat and soy free, it's fajitas. Right? Wrong.
I would think so.
So I was like, hey, can you just make sure they're not like doing something weird? So they make a marinade with soy oil in it. First of all, you don't need oil in a marinade, but they do. And so and they found out they did have soy in it. And so they're like, oh, we'll just ask for soy free. And so they gave me a tasteless chicken breast because they didn't want to take soy oil out of their marinade. And I was like, okay, you can actually add spices without adding oil.
So here's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this. I had spices. It was fine. Yeah. I mean, I made it taste good, but it was hilarious because I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they thought I was allergic to gluten. And I was like, no. They talked to me. I was like, no, it's soy. I can eat all the gluten I want. I mean, it does give me wheat-knee, but that's different. That's not the puddle jump home situation
which nobody wants to experience.
Nobody does.
Nobody does.
I drank the water in Peru once too. It's a very similar reaction.
Don't drink the water in Peru.
Don't drink the water in Peru. Sometimes that means don't drink the orange juice in Peru because it's tang mixed with.
Oh, the water in Peru.
The water in Peru.
Yes.
I use oil in my marinade, but I use either olive oil or canola oil. I despise soy oil. Yeah. It just never occurred to me to put oil in a marinade, but it probably serves a function. Do you put oil in yours?
Sometimes. I made a marinade today. We're doing venison steaks on the grill tonight, and the marinade that I have them sitting in has a little bit of olive oil in it. So
yeah. Is that to add fat to the whole situation?
I don't even know. My husband did it like a million years ago when he made this marinade, and I was like, oh, that's what we do. I have no idea.
I was watching a TikTok video where the person said, don't add the baking powder to the cake mix in the blender or mixer. You have to hand stir it in to make sure it works. And I was like, I wonder if that's true. Now I have to make 2 cakes I'm never going to eat to test the difference. Because I've just always been like, throw it all in. Yeah. Done, cake, right? So, and I was like, I wonder if that's something this person was taught by their grandma.
Yeah.
Or is there an actual reason where if you put baking powder in a mixer situation, that it messes with like the rising power of the baking? Because is that what is baking powder? It's baking soda with something. Is it cream of tartar it's mixed with?
I think so.
Yeah,
Somebody in the comments will let us know. I'm
somebody,
sure.
yeah, I mean,
Somebody
seriously, I
let us
don't.
know.
It was one of those situations. This is one of those situations where people ask, "What is critical thinking?" That's what critical thinking is. Somebody says something, you're like,
Yes.
"I wonder why," and then you go look and you find out why, and they're either right or they're wrong. And
Right.
then, yeah, somebody says it is cream of tartar.
Okay. Yeah.
So, so here's what my grandma always said: I needed to sift all the dry ingredients together to get the best cake rise. Yeah, I was told that too. And then I got a KitchenAid mixer and I just put all the liquids in first and go, bzzz, and
Yeah.
then I would add the smallest amount of powder first and the flour last. That's what I did. And I didn't notice a difference, but maybe I didn't get the best rise. I now have to do a back
Now
to
you
back
have
test.
to do an experiment.
Yeah. Yeah, Letty says to this day I still sift it all. Not sure if it makes a difference. Flour used to not be sifted. So
Really?
flour used to be lumpy and you had to put it through the flour sifter to make it powdery.
Really?
But most flour you buy at the store is pre-sifted.
That makes sense. Because I always wondered, I'm like, why do you want me to sift this? It doesn't look any different.
Yeah. And then I think the idea of having all the dry ingredients mixed is that they are uniform in the batter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So baking soda and cream of tartar will last almost forever if not mixed, but add them together and they will expire fast. Okay.
I think there was a meme thing or like a story that would go around about there was someone there was like a recipe for a ham or something. And so they were making this recipe and they cut off the ends of the ham when they put it in the pan and then they, put it in the oven and bake the ham. And then so the kid is asking, why do you cut off the ends of the ham? And come to find out through this long story, it's because the grandma of the grandma of the grandma, the pan that she was making the ham in was too big or too small. And so she would always cut the ham to fit into the pan. And then that just got passed along. And so people thought, oh, we have to cut the ends of the ham off. Like that's part of the baking process. We have to cut yeah. So sometimes I think it's just what you're taught. And if you don't do that critical thinking of why are we doing this?
Yeah. I mean, I still do things in the kitchen that I was just told and I've never tested.
Sure.
I can't think of one.
This is a new series for you.
I know this could be really fun.
You're going to start experimenting with all these things. Like, my mind is blown. I've been doing it this way my whole life.
Why did I do
and
it?
It didn't even matter.
What was it? So Andy was here and they made hollandaise sauce. And you know how there's steps, right? Like you have to whisk the butter with the acid and then,
It's a process.
It's a process. And he was like, Claire just puts it all in the blender and hits go.
Really?
And then heats it up and it works fine. And that's what he did.
And it worked fine?
And I was like, it worked fine.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, how many times have I made hollandaise sauce like an idiot? Yeah.
Like how many times do you not make hollandaise sauce because you're like, that's a process and I don't want to do it?
Right. So I thought that was funny.
Oh my gosh.
I never proof my yeast either when making bread. Oh, okay. So so proofing your yeast means mixing it with sugar water, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
And there's certain
I make a
yeasts
sponge.
Oh, do you?
I learned in college. So I learned how to bake bread the tedious way. And then I met this lady in college who she's like, what you do, Nicole, is you go 1-to-1 flour to water, add your sugar, add your yeast, walk away, do something for a while. And you'll come out and be all bubbling merrily.
Really?
Yeah. And then you make the loaf and then you let it rise and then you put it in the oven. And you've noticed what I didn't ever have to do.
Wow.
Rise, punch, right. And she said, it's so much faster for me to do it that way than to mix it all the way and then to proof the yeast, mix it all the way, or just mix it all the way and hope that it rises. Yeah, I don't know. So
we're learning so much about the kitchen today.
Yeah. I didn't know that story was going to come out.
Who knew?
Yeah.
That's what's great about these conversations. We don't know.
We don't know.
We just talk.
We don't know. That's why making sourdough bread was not that hard for me. I was like,
I suppose
I've made a sponge before this day.
Right.
I just made it with quick yeast or instant rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Letty says she has mixed results with proofing yeast. I just don't bake bread anymore. I bet the next loaf of bread I bake is an abject failure because I haven't done it in so long.
You're out of practice?
Yeah.
It has been a while since I've made bread. Mostly that's
Yeah.
a time thing. But
Yeah.
I used to bake a lot of bread, and I don't now. So
I used to bake and eat a lot of bread, and now I'm not
yeah,
eating bread, so why would I
right,
bake bread, right?
right, because it would absolutely be a temptation.
Yes. Oh, right
Like,
now
go
too,
for
like when
it.
I'm not allowed to fail.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
This morning I got up and I'm like, bread with like an inch and a half of butter smeared on it sounds really good fresh out of the oven. Maybe
it
not
would
quite
be
that much butter, but you
amazing.
know what I mean? Like butter is frosting though. Let's just be
Mm,
honest about it. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Yep. Beer bread is great. Cooking is a significant part of lifesteading.
It
Yes, it
really
is.
is, because everybody needs to eat.
Yeah.
This is a big thing.
It's a big part of prepping too. If you don't know
Yeah,
how to cook and you that's your plan, that's not a good plan.
this is true. Life
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
Life skills.
Anyway, well, we're
Mhm.
coming on an hour. You want
Yeah.
to promo something and we'll wrap up?
Promo something. I mean, you can go to my website at farmishkindoflife.com. You will find all the goodies there, but I will tell you, I do have a new book coming out
Woo!
probably in a couple weeks. It's called Get Shit Done. I'm
Yes.
starting a new series called the No BS books, which are short and sweet. Well, not necessarily sweet, but um, yeah, they're going to be quick reads. You can probably get them done in an hour. So I have this Get Shit Done book that is coming out as soon as the cover is done, and then the next one is called Spit It Out, which is about communication, and looking forward to working through that series and getting those out. So, and yes, Letty's saying sign up for the Farmish Papers. So that's my monthly snail mail newsletter. You
And
can
your
find
website is
farmishkindoflife.com.
.com. Okay.
.com.
Well, I have a podcast, guys. It comes out 4 or 5 days a week. livingfreeintennessee.com and selfreliancefestival.com just launched our tickets for the October 14th and 15th event. We have Joel Salatin coming. You should come to that if you're
Sweet.
going to go to an event. It's going to be badass. We are at early bird pricing right now, $75. Get your ticket while you can, and look at the other workshops around because, like, we're doing SRF. There's a poultry processing workshop with Joel the next day, and before that, there's ham radio. So enjoy that. Hope to see you there. And if you are not following A Farmish Kind of Life and you're on my channel, go to her YouTube channel for a subscribe. And if you're on Amy's channel and you don't follow Living Free in Tennessee, come to my channel and give me a subscribe. We'll see you guys next time we do Spicy Sisters. Bye.
Yeah.